Okay. Hello, everyone. We're going to start in a moment, just waiting for everyone to get here. Okay. So we have the live chat as well, just to let everyone know. You can say hello to everyone, speak to each other if you would like, and also post any questions, which we will be answering later on in the Q&A. Okay.
All right. Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to Reedsy's third webinar for freelancers. It's really nice to see everybody. I'm seeing all the chats. Oh, good morning from Australia. Wow. What time is it there? Anyway, I would do a quick little introduction here. My name is Jessica, and I am from the cold and bitter Toronto, Canada. And my colleague here is Maria, who is calling in from London. And we see another Leslie from London too.
Yes, hello everyone.
So we are part of the community team here at Reedsy.
Okay, just setting up the slides for everyone. So yes, what we will be covering today, Jess?
Yeah, so we're going to take a look. Well, actually, I should give you a little background here. Since we started Reedsy, we've seen hundreds of freelance professionals win clients on our marketplace. So this month actually marks an exciting number for us. We reached 10,000 collaborations on our platform, and we wanted to share with you what we've learned. So what sets apart professionals who are consistently converting the briefs they receive into high-paying projects? Now, with regards to that, we have lots of tips. We're going to share with you 10 simple yet extremely helpful ones for you to do just that.
Yes, and before we actually dive in, I just wanted to remind everyone, I'm sure you already know what our interface on Reedsy looks like when you're sending quotes, but I just wanted to do a quick recap of that just here. So as you know, you have your Reedsy profile. It is really important to fill it up and optimize it. Let our team know if you would like any advice on that. We're always more than happy to help you with optimizing it so that you can receive more requests. Then here you can see the marketplace and what the clients actually see when they're looking for professionals. So they're able to select the service, and then they can select the genres. They're also looking at your response rate or reviews. And this is something that they will be judging the profiles on. So when you receive a request from a client, you'll get an email notification, then you can click through.
Maria?
Yeah?
I don't think they see your screen.
Okay.
I think they're just seeing, oh, they're seeing my profile. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it a nice sunset, Robin?
So you can't see the video?
They can't see, no, they can't see your screen right now.
Okay, so we will, guys, can you see my screen now?
No.
Right. Sorry about that. Just 1 second. Can we see it now?
Nope. Hold on, let's see. Sorry, guys.
Just technical difficulties.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
It's up.
Great. So never mind. We will share that video with you in an email that we will be sending afterwards with the recording and the slides as well. But just to remind you that we have our interface where you can send an offer, and there are several sections to it where you can detail your offer and explain the terms and what services you will be providing. There is also a section where you can set up the payment schedule. You can make it whatever you would like it to be, and considering the client's desires as well. So you can set up the payment amount, the upfront payment, you can have different installments, and you can set the timeline there as well. And Reedsy will actually automatically set the different installments out for you. And then you're ready to send your offer. And we want to give you some tips on how to do it in a way that's going to win you more jobs and show the value that you can bring to the client's project. So once you receive a request, that's great news, really promising, because the author has spent some time researching freelancers to contact, and they selected your profile out of hundreds of others, meaning that you're one of their top choices and they want to see you engage with the project. So how can you do that? Your job really is to uncover the client's real needs by deciphering their brief, and then translate the small details into actionable insights for your proposal. And doing all this while setting your pricing based on your client's budgets, goals, and your own goals for how much you'd like to earn. So to do this and to start each project off on the right foot, you can prepare and customize a few simple questions to ask your client before you send them the proposal. And you can actually do that in the Reedsy's brief section. You can send a message before you do anything else, before you compose your offer. So one of the things I really wanted to note here is that you will see that there is a timeline for the project stated in the brief, and it might not always fit your current schedule. And it's something that I really want to emphasize, that it's important to ask the client beforehand if the timeline is the only thing that's preventing you from submitting an offer and working on that project. It's always good to reach out to them and see if they will be flexible, because more often than not, for the right professional, they will adjust their timeline and be flexible. And if you just refuse the project straight away, then unfortunately the client won't be able to message you and to say, I'm flexible, and you will just lose that project straight away. So once you receive a brief, you need to start thinking about the questions to ask the client to put together an accurate and attractive proposal. So if the client, for example, hasn't mentioned the budget in their brief, it might be a good idea to ask if they have a set budget. If they've selected a bunch of different services and you definitely think that you're not going to be able to provide all of those, or they need to be split up into different projects, it's always good to just clarify what specific service they need. So for example, you can see in this slide, in an example of a first message, how you can clarify that and use the Reedsy's FAQ, where we detail each specific service to help the client understand and to help you understand what they need. So this can be adjusted for any service. We have FAQs covering all services from design to marketing and ghostwriting. And actually, in this next slide, you see an example of how a designer might approach asking the client the right questions to be able to put together a good proposal. So when you respond to the brief, just make sure that you tailor your message to the author's book and story. So it's important to ask yourself, why is this an exciting project for you? Have you worked on something similar before? And how can you respond with a personal touch? So with the first sentences of your response, like in these messages you see up on the slides, offer some authentic feedback on what you liked about the book, just from the glimpse that you got from the sample or from the brief. It will help you relate to the author's project and also elevate yourself to being a client's number one choice later on.
Now, for tip number 2, this is somewhat in the same vein. Restate the author's goals. So once you've got the information you need, it's time to start thinking about your proposal. What's the client looking for, and how are you going to deliver on their needs? Specifically, again, tied to what Maria said with your experience. But this is your chance to really demonstrate a solid understanding of what your client wants. So reframe or even quote words your client used in their brief and preliminary discussions. Just make it sound like, oh yes, I completely understand where you're coming from. And maybe they won't even notice you're requoting them. But don't forget to make use of templates here again. You know full well what your process of designing a book cover or proofreading a novel is. So keep this in mind and write a concise explanation of each service, maybe copy and paste it to fit the client's needs in the specific project. So this will ensure they know what to expect and you will cover all the bases. So here on the slide, first, what do they need in the first place? What and how will you deliver it? And then make use of templates.
So once you understand exactly what the client needs, now it's time to turn the attention to yourself and what makes you a great fit for this project. So it's important to highlight what's unique about your experiences, your work, your approach to working with clients. And here you can answer the question of why should they work with you in a succinct format that the client can then later on refer to when they're comparing different offers. And you can also build trust and credibility by highlighting projects from your portfolio and describing what you did for them. So on your Reedsy profile, there is an opportunity for you to include books in your portfolio. And if you're a designer or a website designer, you can include images in the gallery of your designs. But you can also use the overview section where you can just write about a couple of your projects and explain specifically what you did and what results you've achieved. Also, don't shy away from highlighting experiences outside of your profession, whether you have any hobbies or insights that make you a solid match for the project. It's always good to use anecdotes from personal life. It will just help you build rapport with the client, and you will definitely make an impression and they will remember you. So, for example, if the project is to edit a book about architecture, your interest and knowledge of architecture, perhaps you've gone to, you love visiting different cathedrals, and you just drop that in and they will know that you will be a good person to work on their project because you have that edge. So another strategy to showcase your strength is to use client reviews and testimonials. So if you've got a bunch of great client reviews on your profile on Reedsy, don't forget to direct the client to your profile page. Or if you have any testimonials, once again, include them in your overview. Don't clutter it too much, but it's really good to include a couple of testimonials just to give more credibility once again to your profile. And another thing is that you can also conquer any doubts by selecting and including relevant examples of your previous work. So when you're sending an offer or just messaging the client, you can attach documents, and it's always a good way of showcasing something similar to the work that they are going to receive.
Tip 4. So this is about clearly listing your deliverables as well as the timeline to the client. So it's time to distill the information that you received and during the briefing process into a clear and actionable plan. So this includes a delivery of timeframes. How long will the project take to deliver? Maybe include phases or relevant milestones if that applies. But you can also include specific deliverables when the client is going to expect them. And this goes hand in hand with payment for the project. So are you going to add an upfront payment? Will there be several installments? And if so, what can the client expect to receive during those installments or after them? This will not only make it clear to the client when they can expect what work, but will also protect you when trying to meet clients' expectations. So it's really important to do this. In this first slide, it shows clearly written quote. It shows a clearly written quote that puts everything out on the table. And in the next slide, which takes a little bit of a delay to show on this YouTube.
Yes.
In the next slide, it also is going to show you what the quote will look like when it's within Reedsy. So as you can see, the professional and the author have obviously agreed upon an installment plan. So this is possible for up to 6 installments, depending on, of course, that final payout.
Okay, so money can sometimes be an awkward subject to talk about with clients, especially when you're just starting out as a freelancer and you're not sure what to quote. And you might be asking yourself, am I worth this much? Is it an acceptable amount to ask for? Will I price myself out of getting a job? Also a common concern on Reedsy, because you are being sent a brief amongst a few other professionals. And to that, I can really say that our data from the marketplace shows that over 50% of clients don't actually accept the cheapest offer they receive. So focusing on being cheaper than your competition shouldn't be your primary concern. I think the main thing is to shift the conversation from rates to value. So once you've established your rates, it's important to stick to them. And once you have this understanding of how much you want to charge or earn every month, it's important to go on to emphasizing your experience, expertise in a particular field, and the value that you will bring to the specific project. So once again, here it is really important to tailor your offer to the client's needs and reiterate your experience and relevant expertise. So do you have a book that you worked on and it got amazing results or reviews? Feel free to include that in your profile or in your offer. Do you have experience working in-house with similar books? Or can you advise the client on something further than the specific service that you are providing? Obviously not letting them get too much advice from you for free, but something that gives you a competitive edge. So it is important to show that you're a true professional who knows what they're doing, and you're also proactive about their work. And I think clients will really appreciate that. And it will all come down to the value of what you offer and whether you've effectively conveyed it to the client. And it is definitely up to you to communicate that without getting overly technical and confusing the client. So just focus on the main things about your experience and work.
Okay, great. So tip number 6 we have for you is to consider the client's constraints and put yourself also into their shoes. And as you can see from the picture, no client is the same. Some wear pants and some don't. But it's good to be flexible at the start of any project. So do not feel, as Maria mentioned, you need to lower your rates, but consider, what's the client going through right now? For instance, offer splitting the payment info like we discussed for the larger projects, and which will not only assure you get that reoccurring payment in your bank account, but it will also help the client disperse that large spend over the course of the project. So it's a win-win for both of you. A few marketplace stats. We have about 40% of the quotes on Reedsy, they feature an upfront payment. So that can be anywhere between 20 to 50%, and that's 50. We'd obviously love to see that number rise, since it is an important commitment check for both parties. Obviously, we don't want you to be starting work before any payment is due. And also it just showcases, this author is quite serious for getting the work done. Also, the client is looking for you to start work right away if you're paid right away, and you have that safety net and a confirmation again of the client's commitments.
So now on to an interesting and perhaps new concept for some of us, future pacing. And that's something that you might want to look into and then use in effectively pitching your offers. So this is a technique to create a positive mental image in your client's mind, just to help them visualize what it will be like to work with you. So it is a step-by-step plan that starts off with the moment that they hire you and then continues to the close of the project. And to describe this, you can split it up into 3 steps. First of all, acknowledge what they have right now. So, as we said, emphasizing what you liked about the work and what they have done so far, and also mentioning that whatever they've done would be a good springboard for your work, or whatever examples they provide for you of what they want the end result to look like. Then, secondly, future pace. So, help them to visualize each significant step of the way and what they will have by the end of the project. So, it may look something like this example here, but you can obviously customize it and change it around depending on what you would like to get the client visualizing. So as soon as we start this project, you can say that you will start working on the first concept of a book cover, for example. So you will send a couple of concepts to them and they will see it in their inbox within a number of days. Then once they send you their thoughts, apologies for the typo in the slide, I've just noticed. We have a lot of editors and that's not a mistake I want to be making. So apologizing straight away. So you can then say that you will start developing the second deliverable, which can be a second draft based on their feedback, and then they will have a call to discuss. And you get the idea of trying to really paint a picture in the client's mind of what it will be like to work with you, what they will be getting, and just reassuring them that it will be an iterative process. You will get their feedback and they should be able to understand the value that you were bringing to the work, coming back to the previous tip. And this will definitely help them visualize it in their mind. So the last thing that you can do to effectively use future pacing is to acknowledge what the project will end up like after you've finished. So emphasize any specific results that you think you might be able to achieve. And I think it is especially important to keep in mind the client's goal. Do they want to go down the traditional publishing route, or do they want to self-publish? And then you can use that information to really help you paint a picture of what it's going to look like for them with their edited or designed book going to Amazon and publishing it, or going to an agent and trying to submit it to publishing houses.
Now for 8, it's anticipate and answer common questions. So this is something that we actually do or try to do here at Reedsy. But for you guys, show your client that you can identify their problems and propose solutions proactively. So at the beginning, we did mention some FAQs, but this is way you'll have already taken a big step toward closing that deal. Just like in the picture here, create an FAQ template using Reedsy's resources or your knowledge of most common issues and questions that maybe the author will have at any given stage in the process. So here's an example of a few FAQ questions that an editor sends to all of their clients at the beginning of the discussion. So how soon should I make a decision on the offer? What is the confidentiality agreement regarding my work, which is always a big one for any sort of author, whether they're beginning or veterans? And what are some tips to make the project run smoothly? And as you can see, this editor has answered them all in one concise message. So just cover the basic questions, and it'll serve the purpose of informing the client about accepting the offer and how soon they should do it. And now, from the beginning, set out milestones and deadlines within the project. have a staged approach. So if the author needs reassurance on the work, it'll keep them in the loop, and then give them opportunity to share feedback, which is really important before all the work is completed.
Yes, so once you've sent your offer, it is always really important to follow up. And that's something that we see on Reedsy quite a lot. Professionals who do follow up on their offer once or a couple of times have a higher conversion rate of requests into collaborations. And it is true that there are some clients who go quiet after you send your quote, and you don't know why it happened and they don't come back again. Was it the price that scared them? Were they perhaps never ready to take the first step in their publishing journey? Maybe they just forgot to respond. We're all busy and it's completely understandable. So you can't know why they haven't responded to you. So it is very important to just follow up and see if they have any questions or concerns. And in case they're just shying away and doubting the need for professional services, I think sending them a quick message can really warm them up to you and help them engage in a conversation. So sending a simple but friendly follow-up message will definitely help. The one, like you can see here in the templates, it can be something very, very simple. If they're even opening it on their phone in the email app, they will be able to see that you're just wondering what they're up to, if they have any questions, in just one line when it's a preview of your email. So if the client doesn't respond right away to this follow-up message, it's important to give them some leeway, but to keep the conversation going. So actually, research shows that you can follow up multiple times, and depending on the person and their circumstances, people can respond on the second, the third, or even the fifth follow-up. So it's good to not annoy them too much, but I think a good practice is to follow up on the second day after you've sent your offer, on the fifth day, and as a last resort on the 10th day. So you don't have to spend too much time doing this. You can have just a template like this one or something else based on the service that you're providing. And then you can log into your Reedsy account, go through all of the offers that are left without an answer for over than 2 days, and then just send a quick message. And it shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes to do that. But then I believe that you will definitely see a result of at least a couple of people responding to you, those who wouldn't respond otherwise.
And our last tip before we go into Q&A, it's get feedback, learn, and iterate. So some of your offers are going to get rejected. It is inevitable, but it also is not the end of the world. There are plenty of clients out there, which is something my mom says about men. But learn from the experience and move on. Now, thank the client for the opportunity and leave the door open for opportunities if you'd like. So don't burn any bridges. Try not to take it personally. Sometimes there just might be a better fit out there. Use the feedback provided by Reedsy to adjust your next quote, and reach out to the team because we do offer personalized consultation on how you can improve your proposals moving forward. So that's all we have for you for the 10 tips to nail your Reedsy offer. Maria is now going to go into some Q&A. So we'll have about 20 minutes to answer some of the questions that you've been posting in the chat box. If you haven't asked any, feel free to do so now.
Okay, so it's time to answer some questions that you've been posting in the chat box. Feel free to add any more. We have about 15 minutes to do it. So the first question is from Rebecca Miller, and she's asking if there is a currency converter that we use because she has a lot of US customers who pay in dollars, but she quotes in the British pound because she's based in the UK. So the system that we use to process payments, I'm sure you're all aware of it, it's Stripe, and they are the ones processing all of the payments and handling the conversions as well. So we don't really have a converter ourselves. But if you go to Stripe's website, which is stripe.com, you will be able to see all of the information about how they convert the currency. So when you sign up to Reedsy, you create a Stripe account and it sets your currency to your local one. So if you're in the UK, it will be pounds, and if you're in the US, it will be dollars, or in Europe, it will be euros. And then the client will see the quote in your local currency, but on the day of the payment, I believe that Stripe takes the mid-market exchange rate, and then they just in the process of taking money, they will just exchange it and send it to your Stripe account straight away. Next question is from Ian. In our experience, are clients happy for a part of their books to be shared as a sample? I would always seek permission. And that's something that I would advise to do as well. I think it's definitely good to always ask whether the client is happy for you to share their books. Some people could be quite touchy about their intellectual property, so I would always be careful about sharing something. Even if you worked on it, it is still their intellectual property, so it's always good to ask permission, and I'm sure that the majority of the client will be more than happy to let you use their work as a sample of your own services. So Ben asks, Ben just says that he thinks it's really useful to offer a demo edit of a couple of thousand words. And if you can bring something to their book, it is a good opportunity to show it. And that's definitely a great tip. I know that some professionals don't like doing sample edits or providing any kind of sample work, and they feel it's just free work and with no promise really that the project will turn into collaboration. But I think it is definitely something that you can consider doing if it is especially a project that you're really interested in and you think it will be a great book at the end and you would love to work with that client. It's always really good to take that time, and rather than just talking about the value that you will bring, just show it and edit the book, send a sample. And then I've seen it so many times where the sample edit was the deciding factor in the client's choice. So Leslie shares a tip with everyone who's wondering about the currencies. Try XE's currency converter. They do live conversions in any currency, and you can use the Google's converter. Just type in whatever conversion you'd like, and you get the mid-market exchange rate straight away. So Cindy Marsh asks, is there a good guideline for how to structure installments and what price point calls for installments? So this is something that we've covered in our guide on how to set your freelance editing rates. I know it's not too relatable for everyone here, but you can take a look at it. We will be sharing an email with a lot of different resources tomorrow probably, and with the recording of the webinar. So this is something that you can check out. So the way that it is on Reedsy, on the Reedsy interface, when you would like to have installments, they will be broken up evenly depending on the number of installments that you'd like to have. And it will also spread it out evenly across the timeline of the project. So at the moment, you can't customize that. But I would definitely encourage you to set up different installments if the project is longer than 3 weeks, for example. So it is fine if it is a smaller project, whether it is small as in the timeline of it is not very long, or the amount that you are charging the client is below, I would say, $800 or £700. And then anything above that, I think it's definitely good to split it up and to have an upfront payment as well. That is something different. So in Reedsy, you have your upfront payment and then the installments, they are separate. So I would always recommend setting an upfront payment too. So Jeremy mentions that there is a commission that is being taken from installments. So with the Reedsy commission, it's not going to matter because we charge 10% on the entire amount, and it doesn't really matter. So it will be taken the 10% of the smaller installment on each one, or it will be a 10% commission on the whole fee in the end. So the Reedsy commission doesn't really affect that. And yes, it was Walter from Breaking Bad. Rebecca, thank you for noticing. So Cindy offers a tip that she generally splits into 3 installments if it's over £2,000, and I think that's really wise. So Ben asks about whether anyone has problems with the initial payments from an author, and that in the UK it seems that banks automatically distrust online transactions of over £750 and block the payment as being fraudulent. So I would say that less than 1% of payments on Reedsy are being blocked on the initial attempt, and that is something that we see and we're alerted about straight away, and we then contact the client to sort it out. And normally it's always sorted out on the next day, and it is, as you say, the bank being distrustful of any kind of new transactions. But normally we resolve that really quickly with the client. They just call their bank and they tell them that they're expecting the transaction, and it should be fine. So we will take the last question. So from Laura Duffy, and I see a lot of you are answering her, so that's great. And it's always great to see you share your experiences and knowledge. So she's asking, can you talk about when a project doesn't work out? So when there is a problem and there is a dispute. Laura says that her policy is that the 50% deposit that she asks for upfront is a kill fee. And now she adds it to the contract stating that because this isn't in our policy. So the way that our policy works in relation to different disputes, and we just say that each dispute will be reviewed on an individual basis. And whenever there is a problem with a collaboration, I would always encourage you to reach out to the Reedsy team and let them know, because then we will be able to step in and help you, whether we can take over the mediation of the dispute and talk to the client on your behalf, or if you don't want the client to know that you're consulting with us, we can just help you with some advice. And I think this is a really good policy to establish yourself, how you would like to approach these disputes, because we will also be taking whatever is said in your offer as part of the contract. So if you have stated in the contract that you have completed the work or you started doing the work, but it doesn't work out and the client wants to terminate the collaboration, and you have said that whatever deposit they've paid will be a kill fee, or you just want to say that 50% of the final fee is the kill fee, then by accepting your offer, the client automatically agrees to that. And whenever there is a dispute, they can't go back on their words and their agreement, and they will have to pay the whatever deposit you set as the kill fee. And we will also get behind you to enforce that because it was in your offer. And generally, I would just encourage everyone to take a really serious approach to thinking about what you would like to include in the description section when you're sending an offer, because that is something that I see quite often. Some professionals, they are very casual. They're just talking about the book and that they are really excited to work on it. And that's really great to establish rapport with the client, but it's also really important to outline anything that you would like to have there in case at the end of the project, the client might ask you, oh, well, I would like you to do another service, or I was under the impression that you were providing a developmental edit and a copy edit. And that really wasn't your intention at all. So I would say, using the template that we have in the slides, we will share a few more templates that we've put together with you in the coming days. Just use that and be really, really clear about what you're offering, what the contract includes, what that payment includes, what the kill fee will be in case of any kind of problems, and really just make it super clear for yourself and for the client on what you're providing. So something we haven't addressed yet, we haven't addressed our marketeers, and Bria asks, how would you recommend I set up a retainer for ongoing services? And it is quite tricky for services like marketing or publicity, because normally you would have your monthly contract and there is a monthly payment. So I would always recommend setting up an initial payment that would be paid up front, and once again establish that that is the kill fee. For example, it is half of your monthly payment at first, and that would be something that then the client has to pay in case they would like to cancel your services after a week or something. And then on Reedsy, you can actually set up consecutive payments as you're working on the project. So if your monthly payment will be £1,000 or $1,000, you can set it up and set the collaboration end date for 3 months ahead. And then you can keep adding those payments in if you continue working with the client. And if not, then you can just cancel the collaboration. So I am just looking through, because I saw that Sharon Barrett, she's asked a question, and I'm sorry I missed it. She asked, and this will be the last question that we're answering, then you can email us at freelancer@reedsy.com. So please feel free to send us any questions that you have. So Sharon asked, are they expecting us to help them publish their books? So are the authors expecting our professionals to help them publish their books? So I would straight away say no. So the services that we have on Reedsy, it's editing, design, ghostwriting, website design, marketing, and publicity. None of those really include book publishing. So I would say that if you're really invested in the project and you really like it, and you have a very obvious solution to how you can help them with publishing their book, or directing them to someone who can help them, then you can obviously do that. But generally, I would say that within the scope of any of the service that is listed on Reedsy, we don't provide publishing services. So either we're helping them pre-publishing, or we are helping them post-publishing with publicity and marketing. So thank you so much, everyone who's attended the webinar. It's really great to see you all here. And here are just some more useful resources on the Reedsy blog for freelancers. You can see the URL here. If you just Google Reedsy blog freelancer, you will find it. And there we post a lot of content with tips and helping our professionals growing their freelance businesses and helping everyone just enhance their career. So do check it out. And for anyone who is not yet a Reedsy member, I know there are a few of those people, do check out our Join Our Community page, where you can see information about how to join, what it's like to be a Reedsy professional, and why you should join. And if anyone has any questions, either reach out to us through the website, there is a help button, or send an email to freelancer@reedsy.com. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.